Hi subscribers, hi viewers. As a YouTuber in China, I've seen the kind of abuse that some YouTubers in China go through. And some of this abuse is based on ignorance, really. And in most facts, and people do not want to admit that China is more developed than Western countries. They don't want to believe that. And they do not want to believe that China is safer than most Western countries. They do not want to believe that. And they do not want to believe that people have got freedom and rights in China. They do not want to believe that. The reason being is that's what they've been told, and that's the information that they get from the Western media, that China is bad, is a democratic country. There's human rights violation and human rights abuse, and it is undeveloped. That's what some people really think about China. And like what most people say about China is, it's until you come into the country, you realize and understand how developed and how far ahead China is. Everyone has had their own opinion and their own views on China because of what they have been told, not what they've seen or what they've experienced. It's what they've been informed. And most of this stuff really is basically some negative stuff, a lot of negative stuff, right? And let me just compare China to some big Western so-called democratic or first world countries in the West or in the world. Let's talk about the main thing that China can brag about is its efficient rail system. China, if not second to Japan, has got the best rail system in the world, right? And it's got the longest rail system, which was built in a short period of time than in a world record breaking period of time than what the world expected, right? It is far much cheaper and faster to travel by train in China than actually traveling by air in some cases. Now let's talk about the other thing, the housing issues. Most of properties in the housing market in China, although you hear that the housing market is unaffordable, but a lot of people own properties. You cannot settle down and be a family or get married without owning a house in China. First, you need to be able to, before you start a family, you are able to provide for your family, right? A lot of young couples, a lot of young people, the property owners, although I'm not a Chinese national, I'm actually a property owner. I'm also one of property owners here in China. So let's talk about poverty. In China, I've never seen squatter camps. I have traveled to a few places. I can name them. Guangzhou, I've been. Xiamen, I've been. Hebei, all over, left, right, and center. Tianjin, I've been. Hebei. Handan, I've been. And Beijing, I've been. I've never seen homeless crisis or squatter camps in China. Although there is some areas where really you can tell, like, okay, these undeveloped, they call them undeveloped areas, which are yet to be developed, right? Like if you're traveling by rail in China, you can drive, but it will take you longer. It's really inconvenient to drive. Really, I know a few people that got cars, but because I live in Beijing, it's actually far better and far efficient to use the subway system or to use the trains. Because living in Beijing and driving, it is really complicated, and it's unwise, it's unnecessary really to own a car in Beijing if you want to live a fast life or a very efficient life, because the subway takes you to wherever you want to go, and it is fast and efficient. And the rail network is a high-speed rail network around China, which is fast enough. So in saying this is, let's compare it to the West. What has taken for the UK to talk about the HS2, or is it the HS, high-speed rail, which was supposed to be thing? There is a lot of bureaucracy. People are talking about wanting to build this rail network, and the parliament has been going back and forth about this. There's no budget for that. In China, there's nothing like we're going to do this or want to do this, let's do this. No, we have to do this, and this just start on work on it. It's just a few individuals that have got a say, and this put the project in the hands of individuals to make sure that the project goes ahead, especially if it's helping the economy. Right? And let's talk about the drug issues. Really, there is a lot of drug problems, particularly this morning. I watched St. Louis, a documentary about drugs. Is it the amphetamines? I forgot what the drug is called. And these drugs, they're blamed of being from okay, that's a river crossing I wanted to really cross, because I'm just going to do some shopping. I wanted to go to the gym today, and the problem with the gym, it's like the gym is closed because of COVID, so they had to update us on what's yet to happen. So like, if you just take a look, these are families, people enjoying on a Monday. It's a holiday today, so it's a Monday, and they've got a long holiday. Schools are closed. So now let's talk about the drug issues, right? There is a lot of drug problems. Like I say, that personally, I've never seen any drug case in China. I've read it through the media. I've never seen squatter camps. I've never seen people, drug addicts, sleeping on the streets. You don't see that, because Chinese culture is all about working hard, being progressive, and providing for your family. The rest of the things, let those people in charge worry about it. And China is criticized mostly for, if anybody, you win the case or the argument or the debate on anything about China, right? You win, obviously, if you're talking about the Chinese economy. People will argue with you, and once you have proved that the Chinese economy is better than most of Western economies, they will come down to human rights violations, right? I have seen people in the US being shot. I have seen people in the UK being tackled, right? It's a strategy, a system of making sure that you border the protesters and you pin them down for hours and hours. They can't move, they can't do anything. But once that is done in China, it is a problem. Once it's done in the West, it's okay. It's okay. That's democracy. I have seen such human rights violations like what I'm talking about in France. Let's talk about Germany. The Germans were protesting about, and they had their army making sure that the army can pin them down. They don't have to disturb the G8 summit or something like that, because it was their army used against their own people, right? But once people they've failed to win any case or argument against China, they will come down and say, okay, let's talk about the Uyghurs. Let's talk about the Uyghurs, right? If you don't know about the Uyghur, it's this tribe in China. There's something like 50 something like ethnics, they call them, but they are tribes, really. But the Han is the majority. With the Han being the majority, with the Han being the majority of the Chinese, you get to see all the other Chinese tribes or ethnic groups during the Chinese Spring Gala. They gave their share to highlight their traditions, their cultures, and everything, right? I'm not saying that I know about exactly what's happening within the Uyghur society or within the Uyghur in the state. I know nothing about that. But I will tell you the worst human violations I've seen to this very day. It was the tribal cleansing of the West, of the Red Indians, the Native Americans. It was the racial cleansing of the Aboriginals in Australia. It was the racial cleansing of the Namibians, native Namibians, black Africans in Namibia by the Germans. We'll come back. The racial cleansing of the tribal people in Kenya by the British, right? We are talking about this thing. You go all the way to Asia and Africa by the French. Once you highlight those issues, nobody wants to talk about that, because so-called a Caucasian or a white man cannot do wrong. But if you are becoming successful, or you are a different race, whatever you do which leads to your prosperity and success is wrong. That's what you are saying. And I'll go back to say the world hates China, especially the West hates China, because they have seen that they are far behind to China, and so they want to destroy all of China's achievements and all of China's progress. So in some ways it is jealousy. I'm not going to say that everybody, I'm just saying it's the Western governments. I'm not going to talk about the Western nationals or something. I have seen and I've met a few Europeans and Americans who say China is what the West tells you, until you come down to and realize that it's not what the West tells you it is. China is more developed, more progressive, more friendly, right? It's just a huge population, and it is a competitive society. That's one thing. Those are the few things that people need to understand. It is a competitive society. So in a competitive society, people don't care about each other so much. But the Chinese culture, it is a friendly culture compared to some racist cultures that I can refer to. Thank you for watching this channel. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and let's discuss this issue of racism and global differences.